Hey book besties, welcome back to the channel and also happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully this video is out by Valentine so you guys have some book recommendations. But if you've read by the title, today's video is going to be a recommendation of Black romance. Now, I know Valentine is coming up and it is also Black History Month in America. Just because you're not Black, if you're watching this, you can still read these books. They are open to anybody to read them. And as always, you know, this is a safe space for everybody. And if you have other recommendations, you guys just leave them in the comments. Share your favorite Black romance books. Anyways, let's get into the video. So for all my Disney adults or people that are fans of Princess and the Frog or Black girls like myself who were surprised when Princess and the Frog came out because we saw representation. We saw ourselves as main characters for like 2 minutes, but we'll talk about that some other day. I would definitely recommend reading Almost There. This is a part of the Twisted Tale series. If you guys don't know what the Twisted Tale series is, it's basically where Disney hires like authors to write the opposite of a happy ending. We know Tiana gets her happy ending because she doesn't make the deal with the voodoo man. And in this book, it's the opposite. Tiana decides to save her family, get her business, get her father back by making the deal with the voodoo man. And we see how everything changes around her. We don't only get to see Tiana's story, but we also get to see the princess story and the voodoo man's story. And also, it's not only about the romance, but we also get to see like the friendship between Tiana and her friend. I can't remember what her friend name is. I think her friend's name is Lottie, but we get to see like their friendship between Lottie and Tiana and how she finally confronts Lottie about like her white privilege. So I thought this book was perfect, and I think this would be like a good read for Black History Month. So the next book on the list is going to be Team Player by Deanna Gray. I have another book that I'm going to tell you guys about. Team Player is book 2 in the Mendelhawk series, but you can read this as a standalone because I did. I read this one and I'm yet to read the other book. I forgot what the other book's name is. Oh, the first book is called Sunny Disposition. So like I said, you can read this as a standalone. You don't need to read book 1 in order for you to read this. And yeah, I mean, I got Sunny Disposition, but I'm yet to read it because my TBR list is ridiculous. Deanna never misses with the book covers. I don't know who her artist is, but these covers are always so beautiful. Like, they're simple, the colors go together so well, but it is still gorgeous to me. And you see the 2 main characters are Black, so plus for that. Samson is a playboy as always, and Arden is a lover girl. So they decide to make a bet where they swap their dating lifestyle. So who is going to win? Is it going to be Samson or Arden? I really enjoyed this book. I am such a big fan of Deanna's writing, so you'll never hear me say anything negative about her books. Don't jinx it. So if you've been on the Black side of book talk, I know you guys know about this book, but I'm still gonna recommend it anyways because this book was so good. I did have my cons about it, but this video isn't to talk about my opinions on the books. This is just to give you guys book recommendations. So Jasmine and Yesiah are a married couple. They have 2 children, but they suffer a major loss in their family, and unlike other couples, they aren't able to bounce back from it because there was like a lack of communication between them. So we see in the beginning of the book, like they go from being like this happy couple to them just falling apart, just drifting away from each other. I feel like the book dealt with a lot of heavy topics, so I would definitely recommend checking your trigger warnings before you read this. It's not anything like too crazy, but I still say check your trigger warnings because what might be normal for me might be a trigger for somebody else. I can tell y'all right now that this book did make me cry a lot for Yasmin because we saw like from her point of view, not only as a woman, but as a wife, as a mother, you know, and what she had to go through, just having to go through this vulnerable state alone. So I felt like this book was really good when it came to discussing like postpartum depression, you know, loss and stuff like that. So I feel like this is a very mature book. This book was so good. And I know you guys have seen like all the positive reviews, and yes, I can attest to that. This book was good. But if you're not a fan of spoiled brats, I'm telling y'all that should be a trigger warning, because her daughter is a pain in the ass. And coming in hot, we have another Deanna Gray book. This is one of her most recent releases. This is Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. It is a rivals to lover romance. Isn't it gorgeous? I read this in January and I did do a reading wrap up on the book, and I showed y'all the cover already. So for my longtime followers, my longtime subscribers, I know you guys saw the cover and you saw how I was fangirling at the cover. When I saw this book, I was obsessed. Like immediately, I bought the book. I did read it on my Kindle because the physical wasn't released as yet. But when the physical came out, I still wanted to get it just because of the cover. Because why would this not be on my bookshelf? Why would I not have this book on my bookshelf? I know I showed y'all hockey romance. I know I showed y'all second chance romance. Now it is time for everybody's favorite, rivals to lovers. So Noah and Sage attended college together, and they thought that that's where things would end when it came to their competition. Sage just happens to be the best in her league. Like, she's just known as the best artist. She's working at this really famous comic book studio. But that all comes to an end when Noah gets hired to work there under her. Basically seeing them competing to be at the top of the league and just them falling in love. Like, I'm always gonna say this, I love Deanna Gray's writing style. Like, it is so smooth and seamless. And one of my reasons why I loved it, not just because of the romance and the bickering, but I loved it because I saw a lot of growth. And I also like how the writing was done, because a lot of times when people do rivals to lovers, it's usually like bullying. And I'm not a fan of like bully romance, but this set like a really good example of what rivals to lovers really is. Okay, so the next book on the list is Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry. Now, I read this book like a while back, so I have to refresh my memory. So Quinn and Carter are study buddies, and somehow during their study session, they accidentally swap books. But the thing is, the book that Quinn swaps is actually her journal. It's the journal where she writes things that she would not say out loud. And her worst nightmares are made a reality when he misplaces it. But that's not all. The book happens to fall into the wrong hands. So now there is somebody anonymously blackmailing her. And if she's not able to do it, they reveal pages of her book. I always want to make sure I mention like what type of genre it is. This is a young adult romance, because I've seen a lot of people say like it's immature and stuff like that. It's young people. They're literally in high school. So give it a rest. Okay, so the next book recommendation is Make a Scene by Mimi Grace. This is another book that I read last year, and I'm going to tell you guys all about it. Now, this is another book that I want y'all to look at the cover. Just take a moment to look at the cover. Let's just take a moment to look at the cover. This is so beautiful. Like, this is the prettiest book I've ever seen, and it's pink and I love it. You see me, I'm not the bigger person like Retta is, because her ex and her cousin are getting married. You wouldn't even find me there. The whole wedding would be up in flames. I digress. So Retta is expected to attend this wedding, which I'm like, what kind of family you got, girl? Because if that was my cousin and my family and nobody was on my side, it would go down. But because she is planning to attend and trying to be the bigger person, she needs a +1. She has to look like she is happily in love with her imaginary boyfriend. So her friend hooks her up with a blind date, and she goes to meet the guy for the date, and she's talking to him, getting to know him. And then she realizes that the guy that she's getting to know is not the guy from the blind date. She is just talking her head off to a random stranger. And that random stranger happens to be her next door business neighbor. And his name is Duncan. He is the co-owner of the boxing gym that is next door to her bakery. She basically begs him to be her +1 and he agrees to it. And we see things start to get serious between them. And now he's no longer pretending to be her fake boyfriend. Things are starting to get a little bit real. This book, me and Nicola Yoon got beef, okay? We have beef. Evie was once a girl who strongly believed in love and happy endings. That was until she caught her dad cheating on her mom. And she just feels like life is no longer like what she envisioned it to be. So one day she decides to donate all her romance books to a free library. And a strange old lady approaches her and, tries to get her to reconsider giving her books away. But the lady tells her in order to give away all these books, you do need to take a book. So she happens to see a book called Instructions for Dancing and she picks it up. But something strange starts to happen to her. Every time she sees a couple kiss, she can now see the beginning and the ending. So she's trying to trace back her steps to where this weird thing started happening. And she realizes that the only connection is the old lady and the book that she took from the free library. And she finds herself at this dancing studio, and ending up at this dancing studio, she finds herself participating in competitions for them with X. So now she went from being this girl that doesn't believe in love to dancing. This book, y'all, let me tell y'all right now, this book made me cry. So if you're not ready to cry real hard tears, I'm still going to tell you to read it because you're ready to cry real hard tears. But yes, those are all the book recommendations for today. If you guys enjoyed this video, I would definitely recommend giving this a big thumbs up. Happy Valentine once again, and also happy reading. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new, you know what to do. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Love you guys. Bye.